glasses.
Put those on.
You're awesome. There you go.
That is actually awesome.
I've been eyeing those all morning. No pun intended.
You should wear those at the airport.
I think that's a great idea.
The next time you have, do you have like governmental meetings you have to attend?
Absolutely.
Wear those.
It will help lighten it up a little bit.
Exactly. Well, welcome. Did you fly here today or did you drive?
I kept to the speed limit.
Oh.
Yes. On the ground.
On the ground. Okay,
yes,
well, good.
Yes.
I didn't realize there was a speed limit. Is there a speed limit when you fly? Do we have any pilots yet? Is there really? Yeah, how fast can you fly?
Can't exceed 250 knots below 10,000 feet.
All right, that is awesome for me to know if I knew what a knot was.
Better not.
Realize who you're dealing with. What the hell? That's awesome. Well, welcome. Tell us what's going on at Falcon Field. And maybe for those of folks that aren't familiar, give us a little background story, a little backstory on how long Falcon Field's been in existence.
You bet. Well, Falcon Field has actually been around for 75 years. We're actually celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. It was originally started in 1941. The initial construction started in July of 1941, and it actually opened in September. So imagine building an entire airport in 2 months. But there was a lot of reason for doing that, and that was because we had World War II was in full swing, and even though the United States was not yet technically in the war yet, the United States made arrangements with the Allies to provide flight training for the various Allied forces that were training to, especially during the Battle of Britain and so forth. And so Falcon Field was selected, or Mesa was selected as a site for a training base for pilots, primarily at the time British Royal Air Force cadets that would come and spend some time learning to fly at Falcon, as well as other airports around the valley. And then later on in the war, after the U.S. entered the war, then there was some training of some U.S. pilots there as well. So it has a very significant history, and it's a history that even as the airport moves forward here in the 21st century, it is something that is still part of our roots, and we do always want to remember why we got started.
That's amazing. Built the whole airport in 2 months.
Yes.
You know, there's a restroom in Terminal 4 of Sky Harbor that's been under construction for 7 months now.
Obviously, they're not motivated to get it done.
I wish they would finish it, and that's a story we don't have time for. So tell us what's going on out there now and what we need to know about.
Well, there's a lot of exciting things going on. Falcon Field, just to let you know, we are actually one of the busiest, what they call general aviation airports in the United States. And by general aviation, I mean we don't have the commercial airline traffic coming into Falcon, and there's a reason for that. Airports like Falcon today exist to enable the smaller aircraft to fly in and out of an airport without having to clog up the traffic there at Sky Harbor and at Phoenix Mesa Gateway. So we play a significant role in helping to manage the large amount of aviation traffic that is here in the Phoenix area. And again, we're very active out there. We have over 700 aircraft are based at Falcon Field. Last year, we were the 5th busiest general aviation airport in the United States.
Wow.
And a lot of people just think that Falcon's this sleepy little airport located in Northeast Mesa, but we have a lot going on there. And the sorts of things that are going on, you might think, okay, it's for private pilots that like to get out on Saturdays and fly. Well, yes, we have that. But there's a lot of other things that happen at Falcon Field. We've been talking this morning about the various health issues and so forth. Falcon Field plays a big role in providing some services for the healthcare industries. There are a lot of medical flights that come in and out of Falcon Field where someone is in serious condition in an outer-lying part of the state and needs to be flown to the Phoenix area. very quickly, and so a lot of those medical flights come into Falcon Field so that they can get the folks very quickly to the care that they need. There are also a lot of blood flights that fly in and out of Falcon Field where you have volunteers that are willing to take their own aircraft and their own fuel that they've purchased and fly up to various parts of the state to either deliver blood or to collect blood in those outer parts of the state so that we can keep the blood supplies sufficient as needed throughout the state. So there's a lot of those sorts of activities that go on at Falcon Field. We, of course, we have a lot of business and corporate traffic coming in to Falcon. We have over 92 businesses that are located on the airport that employ over 1,300 people. And that's not counting Boeing. That's just right on the airport. So it really is sort of like a little aviation city unto itself. And it's, of course, then you have great venues for people that want to learn more about aviation, like the Commemorative Air Force Museum that we have there at Falcon Field, which, by the way, will be hosting the Aviation Fascination event here on November 20th. And so that's always a great event if you are interested in aviation and want to learn more, or you want to bring your children or your grandchildren to help them get that bug to fly. Not Zika, but it's a really good bug. But I will tell you, once you catch the aviation bug, it will never leave you. It's in you, it's there, it will always be there.
And by the way, that is, you can see on the board there, it's Friday, November 18th. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. The Chamber's very active in that. And you just see, you know, historical, very cool old aircraft, and then some of the new helicopters and stuff that are out there. That's just phenomenal. And
Yeah.
you guys do a great job with that.
Thank you.
And you also have, I've been out there and actually done some corporate events there where you can take over part of the little museum or whatever, have a
Right.
corporate event. It's a great place to conduct
It really
business.
is, and we really appreciate the Commemorative Air Force being on the airport because they do host those types of events and just help get people out to the airport, which, speaking of which, we have another great event coming up. This is the first time in Mesa that this event will be here, but on October 28th and 29th, we will be hosting the Copper State Fly-In, which Copper State has been around for, this will be the 44th year that they have been doing this fly-in event. I don't know, some of you may have heard of Oshkosh and Fun and Sun, these great big fly-in events that people just fly their airplanes to from all over the United States. Well, Copper State is the fly-in event of the Southwestern United States. And we are extremely excited about being able to host Copper State this year. You can come there and see planes from all over the country. Normally, they attract somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 aircraft to that event. And you can see vintage warbirds, you'll be able to see experimental aircraft. They have some competition where people will, you know, they get in a certain category and then they have their plane judged. But in addition to that, there's going to be a whole lot of other things for people who maybe aren't flying, don't fly at all, educational workshops, opportunities for young folks or older folks to learn about how to get into an aviation career, and of course, great food, and just lots of fun. So we are really, really excited about being able to host Copper State this year.
I'm still fascinated by the 1,300 people that work at the airport. What kind of economic impact? Have there been studies that show what Falcon Field does for? These are all business people here. They're wondering how this affects their business.
Right.
How does Falcon Field affect the
Oh,
livelihood?
it has a substantial effect. It's actually one of Mesa's largest economic engines, because not only because of the businesses that are located on the airport, which I'll just cite as one example. One of our businesses shared with us the other day that they pumped $43 million into the Mesa and the East Valley economy, just that one business at Falcon. And so, you know, that includes, yes, the services that they provide at the airport, but then they are buying services from Mesa businesses up to and including apartment buildings and for housing their employees or their students. And it just pretty much trickles on out as far as the effect that the presence of Falcon Field in Mesa economically that it has on our community as a whole.
That's great. Well, I had a question I was thinking about. Let me see what question I was thinking about. What's new at, this just came off the top of my head. What's new at CAE Oxford?
They're the ones that they shared with us the other day that are contributing $43 million into the economy every year. You know, they are actually, for those of you who don't know, CAE, their primary business is they're probably the largest manufacturer of flight simulators in the world. Now, they don't do the manufacturing of flight simulators at Falcon Field, but you will see, actually, I saw the movie Sully the other day, and I don't want to, you know, for those who haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you all the details, but there was a couple scenes in there where they were doing some flight simulations. Well, guess whose flight simulators they were using? They were using CAE flight simulators. And so that's their primary business. Their secondary business, which is basically built up to try to get pilots right from the start familiar with the CAE simulators, because if they go on to become commercial airline pilots, they are going to be probably using CAE simulators from that point forward. They do the initial pilot training for commercial airline pilots, and they just recently announced that they have signed a contract with JetBlue Airlines, and they've started. It's a initial program at Falcon Field, which, by the way, will not be adding thousands of more operations. So those of you who are concerned about noise, the JetBlue program is starting out very small, but they will now be training pilots at Falcon Field who will be moving directly into the right seat of a JetBlue aircraft within a matter of a couple of years. So that's really exciting that we now have folks that are going to be working for a domestic American-owned airline that are beginning their training right at Falcon Field.
That's awesome. A little sidebar, in your business, is the movie Sully required viewing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Was it a good movie?
It was a great movie, yeah.
Was Sully a resident of the Valley at some point? I think maybe he lived here.
I don't know. Maybe he'd want to retire here, though.
Well, you know, that wouldn't have been near as dramatic a landing if it would have been in the Salt River.
No.
You know what I mean? People just get off and walk off the plane.
It probably would have been easier. Probably would have been easier, just like landing on a dirt landing strip.
Like, watch out for the puddle.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, and by the way, if you don't think there's a lot of business, one of my favorite things when I play golf at Longbow, one of our favorite courses, and a friend of the chamber, is just seeing all the cool aircraft flying in. It's kind of distracting when you see all those cool old, I don't know anything about aircraft, but I know they're cool.
And that's the fun thing about Falcon Field is that we do see such a diversity of aircraft. You see the corporate jets coming in, you see the little small guys, and then, of course, you see the warbirds. And I will tell you, of course, the B-17 is based at the Commemorative Air Force Museum. I don't care what we are doing, the staff and I, when we hear those engines of the B-17, whether she's coming in or she's departing, we drop everything that we are doing and we go outside, because you just cannot experience the thrill of seeing a B-17. You just can't get tired of that. Every time it happens, it's like the first time I've ever seen it. It's just,
oh, that's awesome.
Just amazing.
Once again, I'll admit, I don't even know what a B-17 is. Sounds like
Those were
something
the
you hear in a
guys,
bingo
those were the
game.
planes that like really helped win the war.
Okay.
The big war.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. And you get to see them all out there.
Yes, you do.
Well, I know you're very active in the chamber. What has the chamber affiliation been? What can you talk to these folks that are wondering what the chamber can do for them? What's it done for Falcon Field?
Oh, it's done amazing things. The partnership that we have with the chamber has just been extremely helpful in, first of all, helping us to get the word out to folks that Falcon Field, we're out there. And we are a viable, active airport. I know you hear a lot about Phoenix Mesa Gateway, which is a great airport. And by the way, we work extremely well with those folks as well. They have kind of a different model of where they want to go and long term. And so it's a very cooperative. But as far as the chamber is concerned, just being able to give us the venue to really say, hey, Falcon Field, we're part of this community. We're on board with all of you. We want to make our airport an airport that is serving you. And having the chamber help us to do that has just been really great. And then, of course, you have events like Aviation Fascination that help get the young people out there, because we have to, that's another part of our business, is to help younger folks get interested, especially when they have so many other things that they can get interested in, is to help young people get interested in aviation, maybe as a pilot or maybe as a future airport director. I mean, that's how I got started, being taken out to an airport when I was this tall and watching, well, that was
Wait a
like
minute.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Wow, you walked right into that one.
I did. I'm used to it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that's how you get that bug, is you have somebody that will take you out to an airport and say, hey, this is pretty cool, isn't it? And you're like going, yeah, this is really cool, and I think I might want to be at an airport every day.
Well, you use the term serving you, and which is a segue into other things. There's other things to do at the airport. You've got restaurants out there.
We absolutely do, we've got restaurants, and we actually, quite a few of our businesses are members of the chamber, but we've got a Steak and Stone restaurant out there, we've got the Monastery, of course we've got MD Helicopters, big employer in Mesa, and so it's a two-way partnership. You know, chamber helps us, but we also are here to help all of you, and the chamber. We want to be in partnership with all of you, because if we're moving together in the same direction, it's going to be successful for all of us.
That's great. Well, are you open for a question or two if people have any?
Sure.
Anybody got any
Absolutely.
questions about Falcon Field, or what kind of fun things you can do out there? How it can tie into your business? Any questions? Yes, Jennifer.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And that, you know, a lot of people just go, well, wow, how could you manage an airport if you're not a pilot? Well, because I'm not flying an airplane.
Yeah. Ah.
My job is to make sure that the facility that the pilots use is safe, that it's got current types of equipment and amenities for the pilots that are flying their aircraft. And that's something that you learn over time. Yes, Dave.
How many hangars do you have out there? I know you're one of the largest fixed wing. And any possibility of more hangars coming?
We would love to have more hangars out at Falcon Field. The city itself owns over 400 hangars that we rent out to folks, but there are also a number of privately owned hangars, which, by the way, Wells Fargo has been great in working with some of those private folks. You know, we kind of look at it from the perspective that if the private sector can do it, let's let the private sector do it. Now, we'll hang on to our 400 hangars, but the types of hangars that Dave and his folks are working with people on, those are kind of the higher end types of hangars. So yes, from an economic development perspective, we are still actively working, and we work with the city economic development department to try to attract new aviation businesses and additional aviation users to the airport. You know, as far as the city hangars are concerned, we're down to about 2 years on our waiting list. And part of that, there are two factors in that. The general aviation industry was hit pretty hard during the recession. And so you did have some people that just said, I can't afford to do this anymore. But the other thing that we did was the city made the decision that with our 400 hangars, we want to make sure that there are aircraft being stored in those hangars, and then it's just not a secondary garage for someone to store the Christmas decorations in. And so we do regular inspections of those hangars. And so as a result of that, we were able to actually help some of those people who didn't have aircraft move on to storage units, hopefully out in the community. And so, yeah, but we're at about 2 years on our wait list.
I'm actually, does the fact that I know you help me get up the list? I'm looking for a place to store my private jet.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Sorry.
Well, we're out of time.
We don't play favorites at Falcon Field.
No, that's awesome. Well, we really are out of time. Now, would you agree that one of the important things is if you own an aircraft, you should keep it clean and keep it safe?
Yes.
Say yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you're not a pilot, but I'm assuming you drive a car.
I do.
We've got this is such a great tie-in. We have a $100 detail gift card to you as thanking you to come in today.
Wow.
From our favorite auto spa in the world, Cobblestone Auto Spa, with locations all over the valley. Mr. Joey McMorris is pacing around the back of the room. We would like to give that to you. Take your car in and get it detailed, get it all spiffed up.
Thank you.
And don't drive a dirty car.
Thank you. Actually, my car does need a nice clean job. So.
Well, we noticed that, and that's why it's normally a $25 one, and we said, let's give Corinne $100.
$100. Well, I'll be able to use it.
Well, we thank you for
so
coming
much.
in, and thank you so much. Do yourselves a favor. Go out to Falcon Field. Check it out. It's really cool. And come to Aviation Fascination on November 18th. And thanks for coming in. How about a big round of applause for Corinne Nystrom? Thanks, Corinne. Appreciate it.
Mark can't travel